Social distancing. Move that way, create a path through. Can you really defend? You're supposed to be more than 2 metres apart.
Linchpin or liability? That's the quandary Boris Johnson is wrestling with this morning.
I behave reasonably legally.
As Dominic Cummings faces new allegations that, as well as travelling 260 miles to Durham to self-isolate with his family close to his parents, he also took 2 day trips. Firstly, breaking his quarantine to visit a picturesque town 30 miles away, and secondly, even after returning to number 10, then making another trip up to the northeast. In response, number 10 say, yesterday the Mirror and the Guardian wrote inaccurate stories about Mr Cummings. Today they are writing more inaccurate stories, including claims that Mr Cummings returned to Durham after returning to work in Downing Street on the 14th of April. We will not waste our time answering a stream of false allegations about Mr Cummings from campaigning newspapers. Downing Street do not explain what those inaccuracies are.
Mr Cummings, are you going to consider your position, Mr Cummings?
Obviously not.
You're not going to consider resigning? The public are probably very angry.
Don't think so. You guys are probably about as right about that as you are about Brexit. Do you remember how right you all were about that?
Yesterday, the government's defence was focused on the welfare of Dominic Cummings' son and his responsibilities as a father, with Boris Johnson giving his full support and cabinet ministers coming to his aid.
I understand what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Mr Cummings is, in the public eye, but the reality of the matter is that a 4-year-old child's welfare, I think, is the important thing.
But opposition parties are now piling on the pressure, with Labour and the SNP calling for a civil service investigation.
The most senior official in the land and government, effectively advising the Prime Minister. And we need to get to the bottom of what's going on. And on the basis of what we know, I cannot see that his position is tenable in any way, shape or form at all. I think he simply has to go. And Boris Johnson has to make himself available to answer the questions that journalists want to put.
Tomorrow, Boris Johnson will chair Cabinet, and in the coming days he's expected to set out more details of how his government will lift the lockdown. But it will still require all of us to be disciplined and follow the rules. That may now be far more difficult. Dominic Cummings has faced his own political mortality before. Surely now he's running out of lives. Joe Pike, Sky News, Westminster.